Hello again, Nerd Squad, it's little ol' me here, your host Amanda McKnight, and I'm super excited to be bringing you today's video. If you love the MCU as much as I do, please tap that like button and smash that subscribe so you can stay tuned for more videos like this one, where we delve deeper into the MCU. Today we are going to be further together into explaining the ending to Captain Marvel, what happened, why, and what does it set up and explain for our MCU. If you haven't yet watched Captain Marvel, be warned, this video contains major spoilers, and I highly recommend watching the film before continuing. Assuming we've all seen the film, let's continue. Where to begin? I guess the beginning of the end? The film ends with Captain Marvel modifying Fury's pager into a space-ranged communique device, which she explains can now be used to contact her in the event of a very serious emergency, before she heads back to outer space to help the Skrull find a new home, and probably go on other badass cosmic space adventures as she is often seen doing in the comics. Meanwhile, Fury returns to the office to start working on a new project. We discover that the reason he lost his eye was actually because of Marvel's Flurkin cat, Goose, an obvious nod to Carol's Flurkin cat, Chewie, from the comics, and conclude that Goose must have been the last being Fury trusted with regards to his explanation in previous films as to how he lost his eye. With the first and only hero now gone from Earth and the discovery that Earth is not alone in the universe, Fury decides to start a new project called the Protector Project. However, as he looks on to a photo of Carol Danvers from the past, back from when she was a pilot on Earth, he notices the nickname she was given on her plane, Avenger. And it is because of her that he decides to change the name of his new project from Protectors to Avengers. We find out that assembling the team is phase 1, which is also interesting because phase 2 has already been seen in the MCU. We see the second phase of the Avengers project in the first Avengers film, which leads to a heated argument between members of the team. A lot of pointing fingers and a lot of uncomfortable angled shots, known as Dutch shots in the cinematography world. This leaves me wondering what phase 3 of the plan would be. Was there a phase 3? In the event of something catastrophic happening, or in the case of Fury's death, we know he called Captain Marvel at the end of the film. Could this be phase 3? Or do you think even though he is for the time gone, Fury could have had something else up his sleeve? Speaking of calling on Captain Marvel, that brings me to the first post/mid-credit scene. A moment we have all come too familiar with, waiting for. As I sat waiting for this one, I was none too surprised to see it take us into the aftermath of Infinity War, where somehow Black Widow, Cap, Bruce Banner, and Rhodey have come across the communications device, as Captain Marvel would say, that was left with Fury. How they found a small old pager amongst the wreckage and how it survived are both questions that came to mind, but hey, it's a movie! Banner is trying to determine who the pager was used to contact, as whoever they are might be the Avengers' last hope. However, the pager appears to die before they can determine everything, and it seems like all hope is lost, until Black Widow turns around and boom! There's Captain Marvel, looking like she's seen some shit, and she asks, "Where's Fury?" Obviously, this ending solidifies what we already knew, that Captain Marvel will be appearing in Infinity War Endgame. But what else can we surmise from it? For one thing, it could actually be a scene straight out of Endgame, considering that it seems to capture Captain Marvel's arrival back on Earth. For another, it has implied that Captain Marvel has most likely not been to Earth since we saw her leave in the 90s, so she's been gone for 10 plus years. Considering that Fury is gone and we do not yet know the status of Maria or Monica, Captain Marvel may not yet know who to trust, which means we will likely see some friction between Carol and the Avengers right off the bat. Considering how much the team also wanted to find out who the message is going to, they may even be somewhat suspicious of Captain Marvel upon their first meeting, though I imagine due to their trust in Fury, they will be the ones who are more willing to offer trust straight out of the gate. The post-credits scene simply shows Fury's desk. Goose hops up into frame, looking like they're about to spit up a fur ball on the desk. Poor Nick. This highlights even more how much of a sassy creature Goose is. However, instead of chucking up a furball, Goose spits out the Tesseract, which leaves me asking the question if other Infinity Stones got around as much as this one did. It's definitely been all over and around the Earth, that's for sure. This leaves us to assume that this is how the Tesseract gets back into the hands of Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. One of my favorite things about the ending and this entire film is that it does a great job of neatly neatly wrapping things up and answering some questions. It didn't do quite what I expected with the story, which is nice as someone who has read the comics and is looking for something different in the MCU. But it also didn't disregard the comic book lore either. And it did a great job of integrating all the pieces of the puzzle, introducing new content while resolving and explaining older content. How did you feel about the film? What did you think of the ending? How do you feel Captain Marvel will react to all the changes that have come about on Earth during her absence? How will she feel about the Avengers? With lots of other superhero movies just around the corner, I also want to know, what other ones are you excited for? A lot of good previews were shown in our theater before the start of this movie, and I am personally super excited for Dark Phoenix. And although it's not a superhero film, I'm also really excited for Rocketman. Feel free to let us know what you thought of Captain Marvel and which films you are most looking forward to seeing in the comments below. Shazam, anyone? This is Top 10 Nerd, and I'm Amanda McKnight saying thank you for watching and reminding you to stay nerdy, YouTube.